Imagine having an air raid and our missile system goes down. I literally can feel that burning in my hand when I was jumping off. We finished the exercise. He advised me twice. Naga, take your hand out. The aircraft's nose goes up, it goes higher, and when you push the yoke down.
So, before we dive deep into your introduction and questions, I would like to ask you, who is Chandramani Naganathan beyond the LinkedIn profile?
Who's Naganathan beyond the LinkedIn profile? Uh, I think I'm just another person. I walked the earth for 57 years and crawled for the first year. And if I can inspire people to introspect and live a meaningful life, I think I've achieved something. I've contributed something.
Welcome to our podcast, sir. Sir, it's truly honored to have you here. From serving Indian Air Force to experiencing 6 years of corporate space to becoming a communication coach and trainer and leading to Toastmaster and being as a mentor to millions of students and professionals. So you have been an inspiration to me and millions of students like me. So honored to have you here.
Thank you. Let's get moving.
Yeah, we'll go to segment one.
Yes.
So who or what inspired you?
Well, as a little child, my father would take me to Meenambakam Airport in Madras or today's Chennai. And going to the airport once in 3 months or once in 4 months, I was amazed at the flying machines. And I wanted to make a career as a pilot. We had a school trip where we visited the airport in the Meenambakam airport, and we got into a Dakota 3, and we saw the cockpit. And I remember the gentleman there explaining, when you pull the yoke, the aircraft's nose goes up, it goes higher, and when you push the yoke down, it goes for landing. That fascinated me. I said, why can't I fly? So that started a journey of wanting to wanting to be a pilot. Things changed as we grew up. When I was in my 10th standard, I used to read a lot of books on Indian Air Force, Indian Army, Indian Navy.
Can you name some of the books which you had read?
I don't remember the name of the books, but the books talked about some of our ace pilots, Squadron Leader Trevor Keeler, Johnny Green, Flight Lieutenant Johnny Green, if I am right at those times, and the way they flew the Nat. Nat was a slower aircraft, and Indian Air Force was pitted against the far superior F-86 Sabres and Starfighter F-104. But it turned out that the man behind the machines were superior and with good training, our pilots took the chuff out of the Pakistanis. So wanting to be a fighter pilot bloomed up, and there started another urge, something to be a part of the Indian Air Force.
Later, Wing Commander C. Naganathan joined the engineering branch of Indian Air Force and worked on anti-aircraft missile system of Russian origin.
How did Indian Air Force shape you?
Well, Air Force life was very different. As a young officer, I was there at Air Force Technical College for 1.5 years. We had studies, engineering studies. We learned about aircraft. We learned a lot about the systems that I used, process and procedures, Air Force law. And the real education started when you landed up at the UNVEIL. I was into the missile squadron. I worked on anti-aircraft missile systems, and the learning was as simple as sitting down on the floor in the equipment and learning your test equipments. the foundation of doing a maintenance activity in any place. You have to learn the basics, and it started with test equipments. And gradually learning from the airmen who were smart and very knowledgeable about the systems. It was a great journey, and I was imparted, I learned because I would sit with them and learn, carry out the tests, carry out the checks, reason out, do fault tracing, and all these things happened because of the curiosity to learn and master a system. Without curiosity, you will not be in a position to master what you want to learn. A weapon system, you must know it inside out. So that was the starting point, and I had amazing mentors in the form of Group Captain Sandeep Sarkar, veteran. He was my boss. He was my flight commander, and Group Captain Avinash Devre, veteran, another flight commander, and both of them held my hand, had my back, and made me learn, and they gave me tasks, and there was an unconscious learning in the process of doing tasks. This is apart from maintenance. And in that process, what happens is you learn interpersonal skills. You learn to have a methodical approach towards problem solving. You know how to solve an issue in the nick of time, in the spur of the moment, and build a team overall. At the end of the day, it is teamwork. And having an amazing team means amazing results and at the speed of light. That's how it is. So shaping me, yes, you become that energy of the activities which you do, and it builds you up. You're present with the situation, you're present with your men, you're present all the time to ensure the tasks are complete with kindness, with precision, and amazement. I think that's what I can say.
So, can you give me an example? How did you get mentored in your first unit?
Let me give you an example of mentoring. So you have the firing cabin, and I was practicing a particular role, and my flight commander was standing behind me and supervising the way I was performing the operations task. I had a very casual demeanor, and you have a plate in front and where you have the switches and buttons, and among them there was one button which controlled the entire power supply to the firing cabin, and I was giving a pose of keeping my elbow on the panel and carrying out my task. I mean, a young officer, still not at discipline, and my ego was sky high. And my flight commander had a very sweet way of putting me on the tracks when I was jumping out. We finished the exercise. He advised me twice, Naga, take your hand out. I didn't listen. I was haughty. He told me once more. I didn't listen. And then he left it. We closed the exercise, and then before switching off the equipment, he said, no, don't switch off. All the crew, please march out. And I was left alone along with him. Is it Naga? I asked you to not to keep your elbow there. I would like to demonstrate something. And then I got up, he sat down, and he demonstrated exactly what can go wrong. That was the type of teaching I had, and I felt very bad that my ego was dancing up rather than learning. So the first and most important thing when you get into a job space is learning to be humble. Have humility to learn, and understand what you are doing, because one mistake can put off the entire equipment and you will feel miserable because you were not there at that point of time. Imagine having an air raid and our missile system goes down. So these are things which you learn. Give up ego, learn discipline, understand the equipment. These becomes very important as you grow up in service. Uh, thank God I learned my lesson very early in service.
You just spoke about power button story. If I am right, your flight commander was Group Captain Sandeep Sarkar.
Yes, my flight commander was Flight Lieutenant Sandeep Sarkar of those times. Today, Group Captain Sandeep Sarkar, veteran. Himself and Group Captain Avinash Devre had my back, and I owe a huge depth of gratitude to them, the people whom I work with. I learned a lot from my staff, my men, the people who are there. Every day was a learning something new, rechecking, realigning certain aspects of my thought process and opinions I had. It was life defining. When I look back, I think some of the glorious times has been the camaraderie, has been the teamwork with which I was taught each and everything about the system. Hats off.
So, we know you have met late President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. What was your experience?
Well, I was very fortunate to meet our late President, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, at IIT Pune. IIT is Indian Institute of Armament Technology, Pune. We were there on a course, and our late President was the scientific advisor at that point of time. He was a scientific advisor to the Government of India, and he was on a visit. Knowing his course and the way he has taken the integrated missile development program, it was a chance to talk to someone who was really shaping up India's destiny. When I asked him, I said, I have so much to do, I want so much to do, and how do I make it happen? He said, dream, dream, dream. Put your dreams to action. He said, action is the final step, and that is something which you have to be consistent with. You can dream, you create and visualize your thoughts, but getting into action is what is going to make the difference. I think that stuck with me.